Good evening and welcome to the February 10th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Trustees for the School Town of Speedway. Please rise as you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening. Tonight we're working from an 8-item agenda, and the first item on that agenda is to approve the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 meeting.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the minutes from the January meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 meeting, please signify. Passes 5-0.
And the minutes are signed.
Wonderful. Item number 2 on tonight's agenda is to approve the student handbook.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time of year, we always bring recommendations for the student parent handbook changes, knowing full well that there could be additional changes required by new legislation. So in your packet, I've given you a one-page executive summary. I've also printed out the handbook and put in red the changes that are being recommended, so you can see where those are. We'll start in the first recommendation is the school calendar. We're updating it from 26 to 27. That's on page 26, 27 from 25, 26. Do that every year. Second recommendation is in page 19. Every time we go through this, we see things that probably need to be changed, and this is one of those instances. On page 19, we would charge students $9 for all lost locks, and that was basically at the junior high because the junior high didn't have locks attached to the locker. We're removing that sentence because now the locks are attached to the locker, so there's no reason to have that line in there. So the recommendation is to remove that line. It says a charge of $9 will be made. In section 5, under the elementary school information, Mr. Schnaus has updated our section that shows the school boundaries with a QR code. And in your packet, if you try the QR code, that doesn't work right now, but it will. It's just an update of where, if a person would get our handbook and do the QR code, they could see the boundaries of our elementary schools. We've always described those in writing, and they're still there, but it's good to see those on a Google map with that QR code. I thought that was a great suggestion for improvement. On page 55, on section V, under elementary schools, section F, the honor roll, the recommendation is to revise the elementary grading scale and honor roll criteria that's currently used to align with the grading scale and honor roll practices currently used at Speedway High School and Speedway Junior High School. This change establishes a universal grading scale for the school town of Speedway. Right now, the grading scale at the elementary level is different than that of the junior high and the high school. If approved, the universal grading scale, Speedway grading scale, would be as follows. An A would be 90 to 100, a B would be 80 to 89, a C would be 70 to 79, a D would be 65 to 69, and an F would be 65 and below. There would also be the honor rolls of all three levels would be the same, and that is a high honor roll would be a student that made all A's, and the regular honor roll would be a student that made A's and B's. With that, I'm open to questions.
I apologize that I didn't figure this out first, but where's the does it have the high school grading scale in here somewhere?
It does. It's in the high school section. It's junior high and high school is in the end.
Page 72.
That would make sense. I'm going the backwards way.
Yeah, page 72.
Okay. So when we say that we're bringing the elementary in line, we're not, I thought, this is how I remembered it, that the high school had the pluses and minuses. So we're combining the pluses, the entire range of plus to minus for the elementary, but just doing straight letter grades.
That is correct, yeah.
Is that K through 6?
1 through 6. Kindergarten is still standard-based.
Okay.
Board's pleasure.
I move that we approve the student handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify. Passes 5-0.
If there's substantial changes, I will bring those back to the board after our legislative session.
All right, item 3 is a report on the safety audit. Back to Mr. Disney.
Yeah, in your packet, there's a letter from the Indiana Office of School Safety. So, a little background on this. On December 19th, we received a letter in the mail saying from the Office of the Director of the Indiana School Safety and Homeland Security, that'll get your attention, that we have been selected for an audit. And they told us the date of that audit would be January 21st, 2026, and that the people that needed to be in this audit was the building administrators of the junior high. They were just doing it at the junior high. Corporation school safety specialist, the resource officer, and any personnel directly with the development implementation of the school safety plan. On August 21st, Dr. Chad Cruz, who is the Deputy Director of the Indiana Office of School Safety and the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, and Nikki Lee, who's a contractor with the Indiana School Safety Division, conducted the school safety audit at Speedway Junior High School, and representing the schools was me, Mr. Roseborough, the principal at the junior high, Mr. Grove, the assistant principal, Joe Smith, the counselor at Speedway Junior High, and Jeremy Howery, the school resource officer. We spent a lot of time putting together or sharing with them our school's crisis management plan and the Speedway Junior High quick reference checklist, which every school has that. It's just one that says specifically the junior high. Every school in our system has that. The audit was interesting. The audit consisted of 3 primary sections. Section 1 was a school safety plan review. They went through all 74 pages of our school safety plan review. and there were multiple categories that we had to meet in each one of those sections. Section 2 was legal and regulatory compliance. In this review of requirements established by the Indiana State Board of Education in Indiana Code to make sure that we, and applicable federal laws. And then Section 3 was a section on leading practices, and what they wanted to see was, does Speedway School have the practices that are the best practices of those schools going across the country? The audit took 4.5 hours. We were in interviews, and 75-plus pages of documentation were reviewed. The results that the auditor said there were no findings of neglect or areas of weakness for Speedway schools. And as a result of this determination, all Speedway schools have been removed from the audit selection pool for a minimum of 3 years. Dr. Cruz, he wrote something to me in the end of this thing, and I thought was really good. And it said, he said, it is evident Speedway schools have developed and, most importantly, effectively communicated a comprehensive emergency preparedness plan that meets or exceeds the expectations of the Indiana Department of School Safety, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, and all federally mandated safety standards. Dr. Cruz further noted that parents, students, staff, and community members should be proud of the strong commitment the school town of Speedway has demonstrated in ensuring the safety and security of its schools. And it gives me pleasure, it reassures me to know that Speedway schools have met these high standards and have a comprehensive plan in place should something ever happen. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you would have.
Just a comment. Thanks to you and the people you work with, because it's an important area, and obviously we were prepared and did well, and kudos to those involved in the creation of that, John.
Thank you.
I think while I'm sure it took time to assemble whatever materials they wanted, it wasn't as if we had to create those materials. I mean, those are, right? I mean, that's what we do, and those were, I'm sure, right at your fingertips. I mean, again, not discounting that it was a hassle and took time out of, your day to educate students, but make no mistake, I'm positive you weren't scrambling to come up with these things, because we're very good at this. And
that's absolutely right, is that we had those things ready to give to them and share with them. And when I say the 4.5 hours, that's not a grudge thing. It was thorough. They wanted to make sure that what we had was, and I was glad, I told him when we started that sometimes you go through audits and you try to hide, or you try to, you don't talk to them very long so you can get out of this thing. And I really wanted to know, is there something that we can do better for the safety of our kids and our staff and our community? And he came out with the highest praise that you can get. He said, you guys are doing exactly what you should be doing. So
yeah, that's very, thank you.
Yeah.
Something we should really be proud of.
Certainly not a test you want to cram for, so the good thing we're prepared.
Yeah. Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. Our fourth agenda item tonight is a report on projects. Mr. Roseborough, come on up, man.
Evening. We got a slideshow, I think, of a handful of pictures that were taken Friday. Maybe. Hey, there we go. Yeah, so we'll just go through kind of where we stand on them, starting with some of the stuff that doesn't get the glamour, because this is finally underway. This is the Allison Elementary HVAC project, so I put some bullets up there so you could see kind of where we're at in that process. You guys, a while back, already approved or awarded the public bid, so we'd had the engineering design, went out to bid, we've awarded that. We've had our pre-production meetings with that contractor as well as the engineers. Permits are currently in process. We do have a couple vacant rooms at Allison right now that they'll be able to start in over spring break, so heavy construction won't start at that time, but they'll get some preliminary work done above the ceiling in those rooms. And we've mentioned this before, but substantial completion means the air conditioning will be back on. The stuff that won't be complete is reconnecting the boilers and things like that for heat, which is why final completion is in October. And he kind of had to do that because it's an awful lot of work in basically a 2-month summer. So all the air conditioning, being able to cool our building will be complete before we start school. And then we'll wrap up the heating component of it. October is usually when we start flipping over all of our chillers into boilers, so we can, start warming up buildings instead of cooling them down. So that should fit right along with our typical kind of maintenance routine. Next slide. So last time it was brought up, we showing all the pretty glamorous stuff, but we don't show some of the other items that we talked about. Per Mr. Harding is a good advice here. So we thought we'd show some things that are in the rooms that people probably don't even know that exist. These are some of the smaller things that were on that item, but these are basically water heaters, and the pictures don't do it justice to the size of these. These aren't the ones that you're emptying in your basement and carrying upstairs. They're like, take the most expensive water heater that you have at your house and put a 0 behind it. That's the type of investment that these are, and each school has redundant systems. So replacing some of those and doing the redundancy here, you can see on the left is Wheeler Elementary, and on the right is the junior high and Fisher are serviced by the ones you see in that picture. So those within the last 6 months have been updated. Wheeler was only about a month ago. Next slide. Here's some other things that were part of, they kind of fit into what we were calling Project B, but they've been wrapped into the Project C stuff. This is the high school boiler room. What's pictured there on the far left is one of the boilers that we replaced. We're replacing 2 of those. This one's already installed. Again, part of a redundant system that we have, but they were getting dated. And actually the second replacement that's part of this project is supposed to arrive Friday, with installation starting the following week. Middle picture there is stuff that nobody really understands or knows why it's there, but it's basically increases the water pressure in our buildings. Now that we've added on the auxiliary gyms, we have sprinkler system, we have more bathroom fixtures out at the end zone building, and all of the water comes into one place and then shoots out through the buildings. You got to meet minimum pressure requirements for all those things to work. So the next 2 pictures there are kind of things that were added to our infrastructure to make that work. Next slide. Again, boring pictures, a lot of gray, but we talked a lot about how big of an investment all these electrical components were. These are really, it's 7 figures type construction here. This is new, parts of new electrical rooms, the new panels. We talked about switch gear, basically the giant light switch that you turn on and off to turn the whole building on. That's essentially what you're looking at there. Pictures don't really do much here, but things that were replaced is the switch gear. So that's the giant switch that's turned on the buildings, your panels and sub panels. So that's all the stuff that's feeding different rooms. Not every one was replaced, but some of the primary ones were. Transformers throughout the campus were replaced. Primary and secondary metering, what that is if you think about, I guess this is a poor analogy, but if you think about your Christmas lights and you used to plug them all into one outlet, if that outlet goes dead, all of them go dead. What we've done is essentially plugged it into 2 outlets so that our building now, instead of being fed from just the Kroger area, is coming in from Lyndhurst and from that Kroger area. So it's going to greatly reduce our chance of a power outage or full power outage. So that's part of the primary and secondary metering and part of completing what's called the loop to keep our buildings running, or minor glitches instead of hours at a time if we'd lose. So that's a huge part of actually AES engineering that came in and did that while we were redoing all this stuff. Boring, but beneficial. Next slide, please. Laundry room. So this got added into the high school as part of the project. Again, we were using residential washer and dryers to do things like mop heads, cloths that the janitors are using, all the way to football uniforms. Well, we were burning through them like crazy. They just can't handle that capacity, and actually using like laundry and tan to do some of those things. So no longer that's brought inside. That room's not 100% complete yet, but you can see we have the equipment installed and it's already being utilized. Next picture or slide. So the next couple slides, I try to take what's actually there. So on the left-hand pictures are going to be what's actually a real life picture. And then on the right hand is going to be what Schmidt Associates provided as the renderings of their design while we were going through this. So that's the south facing facade there. Next slide, please. I should have stepped backwards a little bit more to get more of the building here, but this is the entryway. So this was formerly door 13. Most recently, the athletic entrance is currently closed off right now because it's under construction, but you can see they've got the framing up of the new entryway. That'll all get the sheet metal and concrete facade to kind of match the fins on the building. And there'll be a little bit of outdoor seating under there into that new kind of atrium entryway. Next slide. So again, left side, that says you're walking into what used to be the auxiliary gym. This is the new kind of lobby gathering space. Those two windows there are the concession stand. And then as you move kind of where those chevrons or arrows are, that is where you're going to enter the new space through those garage doors. On the right-hand side, you see a little bit clearer view of that with the rendering. On the left, you notice the brown may be different around the windows. That's actually like a decorative wood kind of cladding that's not installed yet, but that brown will still be there. Next slide. So again, subfloor is being installed. They're hoping to start putting the maple, which is the actual playing surface, down starting Thursday. But this is standing at the northwest corner of the new gym, looking out across 3 basketball courts. You can see it pretty closely aligns with the rendering on the right. Obviously, we don't have the track or the bleachers of those items in there yet, but all the goals are installed, the batting cages are in, and again, the wood floor is going down. It goes down first, and then the rubber floor will go down towards the end of this process. Next slide. Weight room. So this is looking from the new portion of the gym through the garage door into our new weight room. You can see, if you look close, there is a drop ceiling going in, so that has not been installed yet. Obviously, the floor and the weights, those are lifts to work on the ceiling. Those are not your weightlifting equipment, but again, pretty closely represents their renderings. Next slide. And then these were ones I didn't have renderings for, but just so you can see the other work that's going on. Top left corner there is the boys' bathroom. You can see the tile work is ongoing. The bottom left corner is just the concession stand. Not a great picture, but you can see some of the cabinetry in. The middle picture is the subfloor for the 2 wooden courts going in. They're about 2/3 to 3/4 done with laying that down. And that was as of this morning. So I'm sure they're further along now. Right-hand side, top right is the glass on the bottom there, the new offices being built in the weight room. And then again, a different view of the lobby is there on the bottom right. Next slide. Up next, so we kind of put this on pause when we were awaiting what was going to happen with the Lilly grant. Now that we know the outcome of that, we can start revisiting this. But this is our current auditorium, and I took a picture kind of backstage so you could get an idea of the condition of the floor and the curtains. You can't really tell what's wrong there other than discoloration. But those are the next things that are on kind of the punch list, so to speak, of all these projects. We did get the 3 quotes. We had kind of a little bit of discrepancy on what the scope should be when meeting with those contractors, and then also one of the lower bids, because again, I say bids, lower quote, didn't have to go to public bid because it didn't meet that threshold, but one of the companies that is in the running for that, we maybe want to vet a little bit better. So we're going to restart that process here shortly now that we know, again, the outcome of the Lilly grant. Next slide. I think that's blank. Yeah. So that's it for right now. We obviously still have some things that we talked about. Not all these things are happening this summer, but we'll continue to, as things finish up, revisit and continue checking things off the list. So, and then happy to answer any questions or whatever.
Can you give us just a brief update on budget and timeline, where things stand with that?
Budget's good. So still have some contingency dollars, which there's still quite a bit of project to go, but we've stayed within those limits. Timeline, I don't want to speak for Meyer and Asian, but I think we're going to be done before the race, which is always, well, really June was the deadline, but we're doing well. They're doing well. So
That's great.
And then, of course, you saw the timeline for the Allison stuff.
Can you remind me, what, if anything, we're doing parking lot wise there east of the library?
Yep, so I guess the short answer is, depending on how healthy that contingency is kind of what we had built in to be able to do that. We do have the quotes back, and we do have the lowest quote, so we're ready to go as soon as we are pretty confident that our numbers are where they should be. I forget the exact dimensions of what we had laid out, but it's significant. So, but that being said, it would be a gravel lot to start. If we went anything else, not only is the cost more expensive, but the permitting would be a nightmare because of drainage and things like that. So the recommendation, when asked about permitting, was starting with gravel and only doing strips for your ADA compliance of asphalt until, you know, all this is kind of settled and we figure where we stand with permeable versus non-permeable surfaces, and we can always come back and pave. It just changes the whole permit scope with projects we already have going on.
Is it possible to do the gravel in such a way that it sets up?
Yes. Yep. So what we were talking about here is and you saw a lot of this with 25th Street, but the stabilization. So it's actually concrete stabilization, but it's still considered permeable soil, but it does firm that up, and then the gravel does get packed. But because it doesn't have that solid surface on top, it changes the drainage, which changes the permitting, which is why we think that's the route to go right now.
Other questions for Eric? Wonderful. Thanks, Eric.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
How do you do parking spots on a big old grass thing of gravel?
It can still be painted. The best example you have is go drive around and look at the Hallman lots for IMS. It's still, because the rocks aren't moving like you think, bringing back to being packed. You still line it like a normal
Okay.
parking lot. Which those things have to be touched up. That's part of, you know, a maintenance cycle as well, just like a normal parking lot.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next agenda item is acknowledgement of grants received in the amount tonight of $204,167.50. Thank you. And agenda item number 6 is the personnel report. Mr. Disney, you're on the spot once again this evening.
We have 7 individuals that we're recommending on the personnel report this evening. First, retirement. We have 2 longtime teachers in Speedway schools that have submitted their letters of retirement at the end of the school year. Steve Locke, who's been an elementary teacher at Newby most of his career. He also worked at the junior high and in Wheeler at one time. And then Derek Dorman, who's been a longtime teacher at and coach at Speedway High School. We have 3 people that are for your consideration under disability leave. Matt Burke, who works in maintenance, has asked for disability leave between February 3rd and February 27th. Elizabeth Hoffman is an elementary teacher in Fisher in the 5th grade, and she has asked for disability leave from March 30th to May 21st. And then Kylie Modisette, an art teacher at Speedway High School, and she's asked for April 13th to May 26th for disability leave. In the next page under employment, 2 people that are recommended for employment: Stephanie Haberman, assistant track coach at Speedway High School, and then Kimberly Hyatt, a 4-hour cafeteria worker at Speedway High School. My recommendation is to approve the personnel report as presented.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion that we accept the personnel report as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? No? Just a comment from me, just a thank you to our retirees, Mr. Locke and Mr. Dorman, on just wonderful careers that impacted a lot of lives, including me. So they were both teachers when I was here, so it's fantastic that see those guys moving on to their retirement. So congratulations to them.
Yeah. We had a lot of teachers when Kyle and I first started that had 25, 30 plus years, and those are, dwindling. It's so yeah, it's happy for them. Happy for them. That's why they work. So one of these days they don't have to.
That's right. All right, let's take a vote. If all those in favor of approving the personnel report, please signify. Passes 5-0. Our next agenda item tonight is a recognition of visitors and other business, so thank you for coming. Other business?
I have this is my night to keep talking. Very proud of this, that we have a young man at Speedway High School is named Masid Asula. And Masid came up through Speedway schools, through the elementary school, the junior high school. He's now a junior at Speedway High School. And he, on Saturday, qualified for the semi-state in wrestling. And he will be participating this coming weekend in Evansville in the semi-state. And that's the first male wrestler we've had do that since 2011. So we have never had a student go out of the overnight stay without board approval. So I would like to ask the board to consider allowing Masid to go down there, because he has to be there at 7 a.m., wrestle about 8:30 or 9, and then he wrestles 2 or 3 times that day. So I think you'd have to leave at 4 a.m. to get there if we didn't do this. So
I move that we approve the request for the overnight trip.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just congratulations, Tim, and best of luck.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's very cool. All right, those in favor of approving the overnight travel, please signify. Passes 5-0. Any other business tonight? Wonderful. Well, our next agenda item is to adjourn and approve claims.